Captain Lee Minho pressed his face against the cold metal of the observation window. Stars stretched endlessly before him, tiny dots of light in the black void of space. His ship, the ESS Horizon, had been patrolling the outer edge of human territory for 3 months now. Nothing ever happened out here, till today. The bridge doors slid open with a soft hiss. Lieutenant Park Hana walked quickly across the metal floor, her boots clicking with each step. She carried a small datapad in her hands, and her face looked worried. "Captain," she said, stopping beside his chair. "We caught something strange on our listening equipment." Minho turned around and took the datapad from her hands. The screen showed lines of text in different colors. Some words he could read, but others looked like nothing he had ever seen before. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "Alien messages, sir." Our computer managed to translate parts of them. Hannah pointed to the screen. "Look at this line here." Minho read the words out loud. "Human sector detected. Change course immediately. The law protects them. Not worth the risk." His blood felt cold suddenly. "How many different alien languages?" "7 that we can identify, sir. Maybe more." They were all saying the same thing. Minho stood up from his chair and walked to the big screen at the front of the bridge. It showed a map of nearby space. Red dots marked where they had detected alien ships in the past week. All of the dots showed the same pattern. The alien ships would approach human space, then suddenly turn away. "They are avoiding us," he said quietly. "Yes, sir, but why?" On the other side of the galaxy, Ambassador Kim Ji-ho sat in a chair that felt too small for him. Round him rose the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. The walls stretched up so high he could not see the ceiling. Hundreds of alien beings filled the seats around him. Some looked like giant insects. Others appeared to be made of crystal. A few seemed to be floating clouds of gas. All of them were staring at him. Ji-ho had been Earth's first ambassador to the galactic community for 6 months now. In all that time, he had never gotten a straight answer to any important question. Today, he was determined to change that. "Honored members of the council," he said, his voice echoing in the vast hall. "I come before you with a simple question. Why do your fleets avoid human ships?" The hall became completely silent. Hundreds of alien eyes, stalks, sensors, and other organs turned away from him. It was like being in a room full of children who had been caught doing something wrong. The council leader sat on a throne made of some kind of black stone. It had 8 eyes arranged around its head like a crown. When it spoke, its voice came from speakers built into the walls. "Ambassador Kim," it said slowly, "there are certain protocols that govern interactions between species." "What protocols?" "Ancient laws, very old laws." Ji-ho felt his patience running out. "What laws? Why won't anyone give me a direct answer?" 2 of the council leaders' eyes blinked. "Some knowledge is dangerous, Ambassador. Some truths are better left buried." Back on the S-Horizon, Captain Minho called his senior officers to the briefing room. The room was small and cramped, with a metal table in the center and chairs that had seen better days. Lieutenant Hannah sat across from him, along with Commander Park Ji-won from the engineering section and Major Yoon Seora from the Marine unit. "Tell them what you told me," Minho said to Hannah. Hannah activated the wall screen and showed the intercepted messages. "We have been monitoring alien communications for months. Every time they detect human ships or human colonies, they change course. They avoid us completely." Commander Guan leaned forward. "That makes no sense. Their ships are bigger than ours. Their weapons are more advanced. Why would they be afraid of us?" "Maybe they are not afraid," Major Seora said. "Maybe they know something we do not." The screen showed more translated messages. One read, "Confirm human presence. Activating avoidance protocol." Another said, "Cannot engage. Protection laws still in effect." "Protection laws?" Minho asked. "What does that mean?" Lieutenant Commander Park Do-yan entered the room, carrying another datapad. He had been working in the communications center all morning. "Sir, I think I found something important," he said. "We intercepted a long-range transmission between 2 alien fleets. The translation is not perfect, but listen to this." He pressed a button on his pad. An electronic voice began to speak. "Command warns all ships. Humans are a Category Omega. Interference forbidden under Preservation Doctrine. Any contact must be reported to High Council immediately. The room fell silent. Category Omega, Preservation Doctrine. The words meant nothing to any of them, but they sounded important. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command," Minho ordered. "I need to hear this." Sir Hannah said quietly. "There is something else. We detected a massive alien fleet 3 sectors away, over 200 ships. They were heading straight for the Tau Ceti colony." They stopped. Just stopped. Right at the edge of human space. They had been sitting there for 2 days now. Minho looked at the faces around the table. His crew was good, but they were all young. None of them had ever dealt with anything like this before. "What are they waiting for?" he asked. Nobody had an answer. Dr. Choi Soman walked through the halls of the Great Archive on Nexus Prime. The walls around her were made of some kind of living crystal that pulsed with soft blue light. Her footsteps echoed in the empty corridors. Most aliens avoided this place. They said it held too many dangerous memories, but Saman was not most people. She was an archaeologist, someone who studied the history of alien civilizations. For 3 weeks, she had been the only human allowed inside the archive. The Galactic Council had given her special permission, though she still did not understand why. Her guide was a creature called Velthor. He looked like a giant octopus made of silver metal, with tentacles that moved like liquid mercury. His species, the Keepers, had been guarding the archive for thousands of years. They remembered everything. Dr. Choi Velthar said, his voice coming from speakers in his chest. "Today I will show you something that few beings have ever seen." They stopped in front of a massive door covered in symbols from 100 different worlds. Velthar pressed his tentacles against certain symbols in a specific pattern. The door began to glow and slowly slid open. Inside was a room filled with floating holographic displays. Each one showed images from different parts of galactic history. Wars, peace treaties, the rise and fall of entire civilizations. But Velthar led her to one display in the center of the room. "This is why your species fascinates us," he said, "and why we fear you." The hologram showed a planet covered in beautiful cities. Towers of crystal reached toward the sky. Gardens floated in the air between buildings. It looked like paradise. "This was the homeworld of the Vorthok," Velthor explained. 50,000 years ago, they were much like your species, creative, intelligent, curious about the universe. What happened to them? Velthor's tentacles moved in what might have been a shrug. They grew angry. Their planet was dying, and they blamed other species for not helping them, so they decided to make everyone pay. The hologram changed. Now it showed massive ships destroying star systems. Planets cracked open like eggs. Entire solar systems went dark, as their stars were somehow extinguished. They built weapons that could kill suns, Velthor continued. They destroyed 47 inhabited worlds before anyone could stop them. Saman watched in horror as the images showed billions of beings dying. How were they finally defeated? We're not defeated. That is what makes this story so strange. The hologram changed again. One day, they simply stopped. Their leader, a being called Morthok, the Destroyer, sent a message to the surviving civilizations. A new image appeared, showed a creature that looked almost human, but with 4 arms and skin like black stone. When it spoke, the archive's translation system turned its words into perfect Korean. "We have seen what we have become," the image of Morthok said. "We are monsters. We will leave this galaxy and never return. We go to find redemption among the stars." And they left, every single one of them. They flew their ships into deep space and were never seen again. But before they left, they did something remarkable. Velthor activated another display. They left behind all their knowledge, technology, science, art, philosophy, everything they had learned. Salman studied the new images. They showed Vorthok databases being delivered to other worlds. They do that? It's because they had evolved beyond their destructive nature. They realized that their greatest achievement was not their weapons, but their capacity for growth. They wanted other species to learn from their mistakes. The room around them seemed to pulse with soft light as Velthor continued his story. After the Vorthok left, The surviving civilizations created the preservation doctrine. It is the most important law in galactic society. When a species shows certain patterns of behavior, they become protected. What patterns? Rapid technological advancement combined with extreme aggression, the ability to create and destroy in equal measure, strong emotional bonds with other species, the tendency to fight against impossible odds. Velthar paused. Sound familiar? Salman felt her heart skip a beat. You were talking about humans. Your species has been classified as Category Omega for over 3,000 years. The highest threat level possible, but also the highest protection level. I do not understand. Velthar showed her another display. This one showed Earth from space, with dozens of alien ships in the distance, all of them keeping their distance. Category Omega species cannot be interfered with in any way. No attacks, no invasions, no attempts to control or influence their development. Any species that breaks this law faces complete annihilation. But why? If you think we are dangerous, why not just destroy us before we become a problem? Because of what the Vorthok taught us. Species that can destroy everything can also save everything. The key is what they choose to become. Velthar's tentacles moved in complex patterns. Your species shows the same potential as the Vorthok. You could become destroyers of galaxies, or you could become something even greater. Salman looked at the images around her. 50,000 years of galactic history. Wars, peace, the rise and fall of countless civilizations. And somewhere in that vast tapestry, humanity was being watched and waited for. What happens if we fail? The test? Velthar was quiet for a long moment, and the galaxy will do what it must to survive. Ambassador Kim Ji-ho walked into the council chambers with Dr. Choi So-min beside him. This time, he was not asking politely for answers. He carried a datapad filled with information from the Great Archive. The alien representatives looked nervous as he approached the center of the room. "I know about the preservation doctrine," Ji-ho said loudly. His voice echoed off the crystal walls. "I know about the Vorthok. And now I want to know exactly what you have classified my species as." The council leader shifted on its throne to all 8 of its eyes focused on the human ambassador. "Ambassador Kim, that information is considered highly sensitive. I am not leaving until you tell me the truth." For several minutes, no one spoke. The hundreds of alien representatives whispered among themselves in languages that sounded like music, static and grinding metal. Finally, the council leader made a decision. "Very well, your species has been designated Category Omega." Dr. So-min stepped forward. "What does that mean exactly?" A different council member answered. This one looked like a tree made of blue crystal. Category Omega is the highest classification in our system. It means your species shows every single trait that made the Vorthok dangerous. Which traits? Rapid technological advancement. 500 years, you went from simple agriculture to space travel. Most species take 50,000 years to achieve the same progress. Another alien spoke up. This one appeared to be made of flowing water. Extreme pack bonding behaviors. You form emotional attachments not just to your own kind, but to other species. You keep alien creatures as pets and treat them like family members. You sacrifice yourselves for strangers, added a third voice. You risk your lives to save beings you have never met. This behavior is almost unknown in the galaxy. Council leader continued the list. You combine creativity with destruction in ways we have never seen. You write poetry about love and then build weapons that can destroy planets. You create beautiful art and then use those same hands to wage war. Lieutenant Commander Park Ju-won sat in her ship's command center, listening to the transmission from the council chambers. Her crew was gathered around her, all of them trying to understand what they were hearing. "They have been watching us for 3,000 years, she said. To her pilot, Ensign Lee Do-yan, recording everything we do. Do-yan shook his head. That means they were watching when we first developed nuclear weapons. They saw the world wars. They watched us go to space. They saw us make peace with our enemies, added Chief Engineer Lim Hyun. Ooh. They watched us work together to build the International Space Station. They saw us help each other during natural disasters. Back in the council chambers, Jiho was getting more information than he had expected. We have extensive files on human behavior, the council leader explained. We know about your literature, your movies, your music. We study how you react to different situations. You have been spying on us. We have been protecting you, protecting ourselves from you. A new voice spoke from the upper levels of the chamber. Show them the behavioral analysis. A massive holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth from space, with thousands of data points floating around it. Each point represented something the aliens had observed about human behavior. This is just a small sample, the council leader said. We have documented over 40 million individual events. Jiho read some of the data points as they floated by. Human female risks life to save alien pet from burning building. Human. Male donates organs to enemy soldier. Human children form friendship with captured alien prisoner. But there are other entries too, Dr. Soman noticed. Human fleet destroys enemy homeworld in retaliation attack. Human weapons, capable of sterilizing entire continents. Human tactical genius leads to complete enemy defeat. This is what makes your species so dangerous, explained the water-like alien. You are capable of both extreme compassion and extreme violence, often at the same time. The hologram showed a specific example. It was footage from a human military base during one of Earth's wars. A human soldier was treating wounded enemy prisoners with medical supplies. On the background, other human soldiers were planning a devastating counterattack. We have never seen anything like it, the council leader said. We're purely destructive. They killed because they enjoyed killing, but humans... You kill to protect. You destroy to create. You wage war to bring peace. Is that why you're afraid of us? Jiho asked. We're not afraid of what you are. We're afraid of what you could become. The council leader's voice became softer. Our psychologists believe that humans are the first species to combine vorthoclaval, destructive capability with genuine empathy. The question is, which side of your nature will win? Commander Ominji, monitoring the conversation from her research station, spoke to her. Team, they think we are going to evolve into something beyond their understanding, or something that will destroy them, her second-in-command replied. Back in the council chambers, Jiho asked the final question. What happens now? Now we wait, the council leader said. Your species has 500 years to prove that you can control your destructive impulses. If you succeed, you will become the first category Omega species to achieve true galactic citizenship. And if we fail, the chamber fell silent. No one wanted to answer that question. Then the preservation doctrine will be terminated, the council leader finally said. We will do what we must to protect the galaxy from you. Years had passed since the truth was revealed. Captain Beak Jinsu stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the peaceful blue world of New Sol Colony spinning slowly below. The colony was home to 2 million humans and had been growing for 10 years. Children played in the parks while their parents worked in the farms and factories. Today, that peace was about to end. Acton called his tactical officer, Chief Kim Woobin. 3 large ships just appeared on our sensors. They're not responding to our communication attempts. Jinsu looked at the main screen. The ships were huge, much larger than any human vessel. Their black holes were covered in weapon ports that glowed with red energy. Are they Galactic Council ships? No, sir. The computer identifies them as Krex Dominion vessels. Woobin's voice was tight with worry. Sir, they are charging their weapons. Jinsu had heard of the Krex. They were one of the more aggressive species in the galaxy. Apparently, they had decided that waiting 500 years for humans to prove themselves was too long. All ships, battle stations, Jinsu ordered. Send a message to the colony. Tell them to activate emergency protocols. The first attack came without warning. Bright beams of energy struck the colony's outer defense stations. Explosions lit up the planet's atmosphere as the stations were destroyed one by one. But the Krex had made a mistake. They thought humans would fight like other species, expected panic, confusion, and slow responses. Instead, they got something they had never seen before. Within minutes, Captain Jinsu's small fleet had reorganized into a formation that no alien military manual had ever described. Human ships moved with a coordination that seemed impossible. They covered each other's weaknesses while maximizing their strengths. "Target the lead ship's weapon arrays," Jinsu ordered. "Chief Wubin, can you find their shield frequency?" "Working on it, sir. Their technology is different from ours, but... Wubin paused, his fingers flying over his console. "Got it. Their shields rotate frequencies every 30 seconds. If we time our attacks right, do it." The human counterattack was swift and precise. While the Krek ships were still trying to coordinate their assault, human weapons found gaps in their defenses. One Krek's battleship lost all its forward weapons. In the first exchange, on the planet's surface, Major Yoon Seora led the ground defense. Alza Kreks had landed troops near the main city, expecting to find frightened civilians. Instead, they found something much more dangerous. "All civilian volunteers, remember your training," Seora spoke into her communication device. Teachers, farmers, and shopkeepers had picked up weapons and joined the fight. Stay in groups. Watch each other's backs. Make every shot count. Krek's ground forces were confused. Human civilians were fighting like trained soldiers. Children as young as 12 were helping to coordinate defensive positions. Elderly people were making tactical decisions that professional military officers would have been proud of. In space, engineer Lim Hyun-woo was working on something that should have been impossible. He had connected his ship's computers to wreckage. From a damaged Krek's vessel, "Captain, I think I can reverse engineer their shield technology," he reported. "If I can figure out how their systems work, we might be able to turn their own weapons against them. How long do you need?" "Give me 20 minutes. 20 minutes was exactly what Captain Jinsu gave him. The human fleet fought a running battle around the colony, always staying just out of range of the Kreks' most powerful weapons. They used the planet's gravity well and its moons to confuse their enemies. The Kreks admiral was getting frustrated. "How are they doing this?" he demanded of his officers. "Act. They have smaller ships and weaker weapons. We should have destroyed them in the first attack. Their tactical patterns are unlike anything in our databases. They seem to anticipate our moves before we make them." Engineer Hyun-woo made his breakthrough with 2 minutes to spare. "Captain, I have it. I can make their shields work for us instead of against them." "Explain." "I can send a signal that will make their shields reflect their own weapon fire back at them. But I need to get close to their lead ship. Consider it done." What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. Captain Jinsu's ship flew directly at the largest Krek's battleship, seemingly on a suicide run. The Kreks concentrated all their fire on the small human vessel at the last second. Hyun-woo activated his modified shield frequency. The Kreks' weapons hit their own shields and bounced back at their ships. The massive battleship was destroyed by its own weapons. The remaining Krek ships tried to retreat, but it was too late. Human ships had surrounded them using maneuvers that seemed to ignore basic physics. Within an hour, the entire Krek's attack force was either destroyed or captured. Similar attacks happened across human space over the next few months. The Zealoth Confederacy tried to poison a human farming world. Commander Oh Min-ji's science team not only neutralized the poison, but created a cure that helped 3 other species. The Zealoth had attacked before. The Void Hunters attempted to destroy a human research station. Dr. An Kung-ho turned the station's scientific equipment into weapons that cut through the attacking ships like paper. Every attack failed. Every assault made humanity stronger. The galaxy was starting to understand why humans were. Category Omega. Admiral Kong Sun-ho walked into the emergency session of the Galactic Council with confidence in his step. Behind him, massive holographic displays showed human fleets spread across the galaxy. All these fleets were not conquering worlds. They were protecting them. The council chambers were more crowded than anyone had ever seen. Representatives from hundreds of species had come to witness this moment. The air buzzed with nervous energy as aliens whispered to each other in dozens of languages. "Honored Council," Sun-ho began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast hall. "You expected us to become destroyers? You thought we would follow the path of the Vorthok. but we chose something different. The main display showed a recent battle near the Quillet homeworld. The Quillet were a small, peaceful species that looked like giant butterflies with rainbow wings. Corporate raiders had been trying to steal their planet's rare crystals for months. Commander Shin Yujin arrived with her fleet just as the raiders were preparing to bombard Quillet cities, Sunho explained. The hologram showed human ships positioning themselves between the raiders and the planet. She did not ask for payment. She did not demand territory. She simply said that innocent people needed help. The council leader leaned forward on its throne, and the raiders, they were given a choice. Leave peacefully or face the consequences of harming innocents. The display showed what happened next. The raider ships had opened fire on the human vessels. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, the raider fleet was completely destroyed, and not a single Quilot city had been harmed. Dr. Lee Sahi, now the director of Galactic Affairs, stepped forward with her own datapad. This is not an isolated incident. In the past 2 years, human fleets have protected 47 different species from various threats. She activated another display. This one showed Captain Moon Ji-sung's fleet defending the Harmony Collective. From slave traders, the Harmony Collective were beings made of pure music who had no way to fight back against physical attacks. Captain Moon's ships arrived during the middle of a slaving operation, Sahi continued. 3,000 Harmony beings had already been captured. The slavers thought they were safe because the collective had no military. The hologram showed human ships surrounding the slaver vessels, but instead of immediately attacking the humans, had done something unexpected. Captain Moon sent a single message, Sahi said. Release the prisoners and surrender, or we will show you why the galaxy fears us. The slavers had laughed and sent back a rude reply. It was their last mistake. The human ships moved with deadly precision. They disabled the slaver vessels without, destroying them, then boarded them to free the prisoners. The slaver crews were captured alive and turned over to Galactic Council authorities for trial. Every single Harmony being was rescued, Sahi reported. Not one was lost. Captain Nam Wanpil, representing the newest generation of human space explorers, added his voice to the presentation. We learned something important from your fear of us. Power without compassion destroys everything it touches.
Nice.
But compassion, backed by power, can save everything. The display changed again. This time it showed human ships arriving at disaster sites across the galaxy. When the Zephyr homeworld was hit by asteroid strikes, human ships brought medical supplies and rescue teams. When the Coral Reef Nebula began collapsing, human engineers found a way to stabilize it and save the millions of creatures living inside. We are not conquerors, Wanpil continued. We are guardians. An alien representative from the back of the chamber stood up. It was one of the Quilot that had been saved from the raiders. The humans ask for nothing in return, it said in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. They help because helping is right. This is not normal behavior for a powerful species, which is exactly why they are so dangerous, another voice called out. This came from a species that looked like walking crystals. Their unpredictability makes them impossible to control or understand. The council leader raised one of its hands for silence. Ambassador Kong, what do you want from this council? Want to formalize what we have already been doing? Sunho replied. We propose the human doctrine. Any species that threatens innocent beings will face consequences. Any species that seeks peaceful existence will receive our protection. You are asking us to make you the police force of the galaxy. We're telling you that we already are. The truth of those words hung in the air like a physical thing. In the past 2 years, human fleets had stopped more wars and prevented more disasters than the Galactic Council had managed in the previous century. Dr. Sahi activated one final display. The galaxy has changed since humans became active. Piracy is down by 60%. Slavery operations have almost disappeared. Wars between smaller species have decreased dramatically. Because everyone knows that humans will intervene, added Captain Wanpil. We have become the thing that makes bullies think twice before acting. The council leader was quiet for a long time. Its 8 eyes moved slowly across the assembled representatives. reading the mood of the chamber. In 1,000 years of galactic civilization, it finally said, no category Omega species has ever chosen this path. The Vorthok became destroyers. We expected humans to do the same, but we are not the Vorthok, Sunho said simply. You're something new. Yes, the council leader agreed. You are something that has never existed before. Apex predators who chose to become apex protectors. The vote was unanimous. The human doctrine was officially recognized by the Galactic Council. Preservation doctrine would remain in effect, but for different reasons now. Humans were no longer protected because they might destroy the galaxy. They were protected because the galaxy needed them to save it. As the session ended, Admiral Sunho looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's great windows. Somewhere out there, human ships were patrolling trade routes, responding to distress calls, and standing guard over peaceful worlds. The most feared species in galactic history had chosen to become its greatest hope.